Welcome to SolidCAM Professor. I'm Sydney, your SolidCAM Professor, with one of many videos available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. In this recording, we'll demonstrate the use of multi-axis simultaneous machining on this turbine blade. We'll start off by doing a semi-finished cut on this surface going down over here. And if I were to open up the operation, we'll be using the option of parallel cuts. The geometry itself is the surface going around the part itself as shown over here. And the tool we'll be using will be a 16 millimeter bullnose tool with a 4 millimeter radius on the corner. If I go into my levels, you'll note that we'll be using the clearance area of cylinder. If I were to go down now to my toolpath parameters, you'll see that we'll be stepping over every 5 millimeters as we are leaving 0.2 millimeters from the surface itself, leaving for a finish cut. If we were to go into our tool axis control, you'll note that we've tilted the tool also to work at 20 degrees. This way we're working on the radius part of the tool and not on the center of the tool. I've also used the gouge check to check the surface on the bottom to make sure that the tool does not touch any part of the bottom surface as it's going down on the part. If we take a quick look at the simulation, you'll see that the tool comes in, and if I take a look at the top view of the part, you'll see that it's turned 20 degrees away from the center, working on the tool radius of the tip of the tool. Going back to my regular view, you can see that the tool now works around until it gets to the bottom. And note that when it gets to the very bottom, it'll only go as far down as not to gouge the very floor that I asked it not to touch in my gouge check. Now for my next operation, I like to continue working on this surface over here, but to complete only the area where the previous tool could not go further down because it was a relatively large tool. So for that, I've used a smaller tool, as you can see in the operation itself, a 8 millimeter bullnose tool with a 2 millimeter radius. And if I go back to my geometry, you'll note that I limited the surface to work on between these two depth points over here. If we take a look at the simulation itself, you'll see that the tool goes in and works only between these areas over here, this surface over here and that, and we still have the gouge check, so it would not harm the very bottom of that part. Also note that if I take a look at the side view, the tool is also tilted in this case up by 10 degrees. If I were to go into the back into the operation, you can see that in the tool axis control, not only do we have a lag angle of 20 degrees like we had before, but we also have a tilt angle of 10 degrees as well. Now for my last operation, I'm basically doing the exact same thing as I did in the first operation, but this time I'll be doing a finish cut with a smaller end mill. If I were to open up the operation itself, you'll see that again we're using the parallel cuts with the exact same geometry. And if I go into my tools, you'll note we're using a 8 millimeter bullnose tool with a 2.5 millimeter radius. Going down to my toolpath parameters, since I'll be doing a finish cut, my maximum step over will be much less than it was before. Also in my tool axis control, again I've used the option of lag cutting direction and the tilt angle at the side of the cutting. Of course, I've used the gouge check again to make sure that it does not touch any part of this surface over here. Taking a quick look at the simulation, you'll note that the tool goes down, and if I stop it for a moment, you'll note that we have the angle on the side over here. so that it does not touch the center of the tool, rather it works on the ball of the tool. And if I look at the side view, you'll note also that it's working on a specific angle of 10 degrees over here, allowing it to go even deeper onto the part without touching that wall. Completing the simulation, you'll see that it'll go down as far as it can on this part, completing that surface all the way towards the bottom. For more videos on SolidCAM Professor, please go to our website, www.solidcam.com, and look for the tab called SolidCAM Professor. Thank you for joining us on SolidCAM Professor. Take care and have a nice day.